Hello, everyone. I am Sophia Ring, SP Saturn the 7th, and you are watching Anime Egotists. Enjoy!
And welcome back to the Anime Egotists, where, in all actuality, I don't think we'd make it very far in the tuning exams.
No, I think we get caught cheating in the first round.
I would openly say, hey, I'm cheating, so can I go home, please? And they would say, no, you have to stay. I'm like, fine, I guess.
You can't be at shooting, but you still have to sit and stay until everybody else finishes.
That sucks. Anyways, my name's Alex, and anime has made me want to learn a lot of different recipes that will inevitably go horribly wrong.
The food looks so delicious, and I want to try it as well. I'm Richard.
That's correct. And when it comes to anime, we like a lot of main characters, the heroes of the story, the protagonists, the stars. But admittedly, sometimes it doesn't feel like they're the ones who should be the main characters.
Yeah, there are a lot of times where it's like, wow, that character's more interesting, or what's their story is kind of what you ask. So, yeah, it's just, and that happens a lot, especially in shonen animes, I've noticed.
That is correct. It's kind of weird like that. But that doesn't mean we hate said main characters, it just means sometimes we want things from a different perspective. And this is what we're here to talk about. The characters who, in our opinion, could have been main characters of the current show, their own show, stuff like that.
Yeah, and yeah, just as I said, as he said, there's going to be some that we feel get their own unique stories, and others that just get an origin story, and even some that are just like, okay, what are they seeing during this time?
Exactly. Now, we had a video kind of similar to this when we first did I don't even remember specifically the name of it, but we talked about characters who we want their own arc or movie out of. And like I said before, that video crashed so many times, the internet was terrible. That's where Richard we're taking Richard's perspective, because his perspective was, I like these characters and I want to see more from them, as opposed to me, where I said, I like these characters and I want more from them because they got nothing. We did that video a while ago.
Yeah, so do you want to start us off this time?
How about you start us off?
Okay. So, my first one is Whitebeard from One Piece. So we know a little bit about his backstory, about him being on I think it's the Rocks Pirates crew and all that. But we're told about that. We're not shown it. It's just like you find out that okay, the Rocks Pirates consisted of Captain Rocks, Whitebeard, Big Mom, and Kaido. That's all we know. We know that they were all together on this one crew, and Rocks was able to control them because he was as powerful as he was. But I'd love one where we learn about his backstory. And based on the story, Rocks was not a good guy. So how did Whitebeard end up kind of becoming this more good guy oriented? I'm going to protect people, despite the fact that he was on this crew pretty much filled with monsters. And he was considered part of that. So I think that could be a really interesting story. Maybe like his final memories as he's dying, or as we're leading up to Marineford, it's like him remembering his life.
Yeah, Whitebeard. I'm gonna be honest. I love Whitebeard, but at the same time, here I have a weird philosophy. I kind of like that sometimes we don't know what happens with certain characters, but then again, it's Whitebeard, so I'll allow it because Whitebeard was awesome.
Well, yeah, and I could also see us getting stuff that's like him becoming the character we know. So like when does he become someone who views all of his sailors as his sons and or daughters? I don't know if he had any female members of his crew off the top of my head, but
I don't even remember myself.
I just remember they always say, well, he treated us as his sons, was like constantly what he said. So I
Yeah.
think
If anything, that could make it all the more heartbreaking once we see what happens during that arc, because that arc was, well, that was depressing.
yeah, and just like I could see it being like when Ace goes off to hunt Blackbeard, Whitebeard does not want him to go do it, but uh, lets him go, saying, "Well, I have to let my sons do stuff on an occasion and all that." And you get a feel that it's like, wow, he really knew something bad could go wrong, but yet he still let Ace go make his own decision.
Exactly. But yeah, I can co-sign on to that. Whitebeard was awesome.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like
I
to see a
think,
little more.
yeah, as I said, it'd make a good story to learn all about him.
All right. So my first character,
Go ahead.
Yumi Omura from Chobits.
Okay.
All right, so Yumi's kind of an odd case. She works at the restaurant called My Pleasure that Hideki, the main character, works at. And like I said, Chobits, it's about a bunch of robots that live alongside humans and kind of work with them in that regard. But the weird thing about Yumi is she doesn't seem to like the Persicoms or the robots that are walking around. She seems to have a past with them that doesn't really get explained until later into the series, and they do a pretty decent job with that. But there are times I'm thinking, with all these people being surrounded who love these robots, who cherish them, who work alongside them, I don't know, it would have been kind of interesting if she was the focal point of, hey, I'm not loving these robots. I'm not having a good time here. And she gets over it eventually, but in some cases I'd like to think, what if she was the main character instead of Hideki? And I love Hideki, but still.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, from what you've told me, yeah, with most of the characters really liking the robots, it'd be interesting to get a story, even just if it's like an arc or something that tells the story of someone who's not into the robots the same way and an active dislike, at least at the start.
Yeah, especially considering she seemed very close with Hideki. Almost kind of seemed like maybe she had a crush on him, but apparently that wasn't the case at all. Well, and the reason is it's because the reason is because she was in love with somebody else, but they fell in love, but they broke up, and he fell in love with a Persicom. And it's one of the most heartbreaking things ever because the robot basically loses its memory and basically has to be shut down. It's horrifying to watch.
That does not sound like a fun story.
Yeah, it has a. I want to say it has a happy ending, but do you know how old this girl is?
No, not off the top of my head.
She is 17 years old.
Okay.
And the person she falls in love with is. He's about 40.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, I talked about it before. I'm not game for that. But overall, well, like I said, maybe from her perspective, because we do learn her story. But overall, I don't know. It kind of makes me think, maybe she could have been the main character instead.
Yeah, just I don't know if that love interest story could be the focus of a main
No,
character.
no, 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 no. And my other philosophy would be like age the guy down to act like at least like maybe even his 20s because the guy looks like he's in his 20s. It's just like, oh no, I'm actually 40. People say I have a baby face. I'm like, yeah, yeah, FBI. This guy right here.
Yeah, I can see that, but yeah, I need to give Showbits a shot because you've talked about it a lot on this one. It's another one that's like it sounds interesting. I just never get around to watching it.
I understand that. I will say, out of all the videos we talk about doing sequels to, I can't wait to do more anime we've seen but want to give a chance, and anime that we haven't seen but don't want to give a chance because I have some unpopular opinions that. Well, we'll get to that another day.
Yeah, we'll eventually do that list. All right, so my next one.
Go for it.
So this one's kind of a double two people together. They're both from Bleach. Jurishio Ukatake and Shunsui Koiraku. The two captains. They are pretty much best friends. They are. I'd love a story that kind of takes place in the Rescue Rukia arc where they enter the Soul Society, and they know that they have to defend the Soul Society from Ichigo and his friends, but they also have a change of heart when they start realizing what's kind of going on. I think that like getting like flashbacks where they because they're they're taught to think for themselves. They don't just listen to like head captain Yamamoto tells them all to attack and defeat these bad guys. So them kind of going through their history with them, because they were specifically trained by head captain Yamamoto. They even admit that. So I think that it would have a really kind of cool story and give a chance to develop the Soul Society a bit more and learn like their history.
How old are these characters exactly?
It's not specifically said. They are among the older captains of the squads at the time, if I'm not mistaken. They're both have been captains for several hundred years. They're probably, I would say, like the middle generation of Soul Reaper captains. Um, I mean, Shunsui becomes head captain when Yamamoto dies. It's not a big spoiler because it's been out for so long. So
Yeah. All I would guess I was just also kind of thinking in some regards you could really see how they interacted maybe when they were younger, and then seeing how much of that has changed, how much of that has stayed the same, who's stronger at the beginning, that sort of thing. It might have really helped in that regard.
yeah, I would really kind of find it funny if like Shinsui, who has this very relaxed attitude throughout the entire series, he wears a flower kimono over his normal Soul Reaper uniform and all that, is like almost military, like standing up straight at attention all the time. And that's how he starts out, like a fresh graduate of the academy, and then he slowly develops and loosens over time and stuff. And also to see uh, Uka, Ukatake as in more healthy standards, because throughout the main series he's sick because he's got a disease that, and it's a whole complicated situation with him. So
Yeah. I've been meaning to get your thoughts on Bleach since well, that's not really a spoiler. It's back now and everybody else seems to be loving it. So, have you been watching it or
yeah, I have. I'm watching the English dub because that's what I watched when it was on uh Adult Swim when I was a kid. So I'm farther behind than where it is right now. But I know I've read the manga or parts of the manga, so I know what's coming. It's just nice to be able to get a bit more detail uh than I got from the manga, because I always have issues with the manga not always getting everything from it. So
no, I understand that. But yeah, I can co-sign on to that. Like I said, even if I don't know the series that well, I'm just trying to add to the conversation in some ways because we
mhm.
both can't just sit here sitting on our hands.
Yeah, I try to as well when we can.
Yeah. But anyways, I can co-sign on to that. So my next character,
Go right ahead.
Emerald from Sonic X.
Okay.
Do you remember Emerald off the top of your head?
No, because I played all the games that were around that this is based on, the Sonic Adventures and all that. I just don't remember this character, so I don't know if they're in that series.
Emerald was the robot they found. He was the protagonist of one of the video games.
Let me see. I'm gonna look him up. Go ahead and
Okay, anyways, so Emerald's thing is basically he just gets fat, I guess, kind of similar to Chobits. He basically just gets found and they basically activate him. And one of the things is he has nothing, no memories, he can barely speak coherent sentences, and he kind of has to learn everything from scratch, learning from people like Knuckles and Cream, etc., etc. Ultimately, in the anime, I don't recall him doing a whole lot. So I don't know. Oh, somebody with that much taken away from them and building themselves up that much. I don't know. I think it could have been like a really cool side series as to what happens. Except, unlike the video game, don't kill him in the end because like that was heartbreaking.
okay. I don't recognize him. I mean, I know I've seen him before, but I must not remember Sonic X well enough. I know I saw most of it. I just don't remember him for some reason.
It's completely insane. It's completely insane.
But I mean that must go to show, because I can remember that all the characters pretty much had personalities, and they did pretty well in Sonic X of matching them to kind of the current versions of the characters at that time. So the fact that I don't remember this character, I it means that he's not used that much as he should have been.
Yeah, he's relatively low on the list because they do a great job in the video game, but also I'm petty. Like, he dies at the end of the video game, and I don't want him to die this time. Keep him around.
As long as Sonic doesn't have to kiss them to make them come back to life or be kissed to come back to life, like in
It,
Sonic 2006, we're
I
fine.
would I would jump on Sonic for that, but they basically did the same thing with Yu Yu Hakusho. So whose fault is it really?
Sonic was known for its video games at one point.
Oh, they're still known for their video games, just not in the same way anymore. Just not in the same quality, not in the same way, just making us sad. But overall, Emerald the robot, had a cool story. I'd like to see it anime wise.
Yeah, maybe I know there's that new Sonic Prime show. I don't know if it's anime or I think it's just a cartoon. So uh, that might be if they ever expand to contain all the characters at one point, then that might have it, but who knows?
Yeah,
All right, so my next one.
go for it.
So I don't know if you've seen this anime yet. It premiered in last season, and that's so this character's from Shinobi no Itoki, um, and that's Kosetsu.
I've been meaning to check out this show, but no, I have not seen it yet. I've been really meaning to though.
All right, do you want me to avoid spoilers then if you plan to actually watch this one?
Is it already over?
Yeah, the whole anime's premiered.
Go for it. Go for it. I don't care.
Okay,
I barely listen
so
anyway.
so I overall enjoyed the show. I know a lot of people didn't. The main character, I will admit, is very boring. He's the bland protagonist. Uh, Pretty much he makes good grades. He's okay at everything else. Pretty much, he's average across the board except for like school and his leadership, which is kind of a stereotypical protagonist to start out. Kosetsu is kind of a at the start she's this like really exceptional shinobi already, even though she's the same age as the main character. She would make such a much more interesting protagonist, especially because this is the spoiler alert. Five, four, three, two. She's the daughter of the main villain who killed her mother to send her so that she's orphaned and then goes and sends her into the area of one of the other ninja villages. So she's a sleeper agent. She's got a chip in her head that allows them to control her. And she literally kills the protagonist's mom, who is leading the ninja clan.
Good lord.
Yeah. So imagine, and but this is also the woman that raised her, like from a toddler age that they when they found her in the snow. So I just think that this would have been much more interesting if it's focused on her wanting to serve, pretty much viewing that she's got to serve this family for life. Well, in reality, they just want to treat her as you're a daughter, you've been adopted by the family. And it's just back and forth with that. The whole then her coming to terms with her killing her adoptive mother. This could have been such an interesting show with this if she had been the focus of the story. But we get like a few scenes of her sitting tied up in the basement after she kills the mother. They give her the option to pretty much use a taser to electrocute the chip in her brain to free herself permanently. Imagine if if we got a story that was more focused on that. We got the turmoil, we got the more flashbacks of her being a kid or her viewing uh her adopted mother as her mother and all that. I think this could have been a much more interesting show with her as the main lead.
Yeah, yeah. That aren't okay. Besides the main character, how is everybody else good? Is everybody else at least passable?
Yeah, they all go through kind of character development. Um, they all feel human. They're not. None of the characters are perfect. That is one of the good things about this show is that they've got. I mean, like the best ninja in the world is the main character's uncle, and he has issues that he's dealing with himself. So there's they all feel unique and have different levels of skill, different abilities, different things that they like to do. So they're all unique characters, and at least I like that part.
Hmm. All right, I guess I'll have to give it a chance because, like I said, I've been meaning to check it out.
Yeah, I enjoyed this show. I know a lot of people didn't like it after a certain point. I don't know exactly what point that was though.
No, but I can understand that. I guess I can co-sign.
All right, your next one.
All right, I have two Yu-Gi-Oh GX characters on this list, but I'm willing to split them up because I feel like both of them could work.
Okay.
And the first character, Jesse Anderson.
Okay.
For those of you who don't know, Jesse Anderson was the guy in season 3 with the Crystal Beast cards who could talk to him. Honestly, that's just so Yu-Gi-Oh! Having a group of spirits specifically that all revolve around one specific deck. And no, I know a lot of people say he and Jane are very similar. In fact, most of the characters say that. But I feel like a lot of people like that Jesse, while similar in the happy-go-lucky nature to Jane was, he was also like very kind of smart and level-headed about it. I don't know, because we don't learn that much about him as a child or that much as what happens after he graduates, but I don't know, he feels like such a Yu-Gi-Oh protagonist, just in the way that he helps people and is generally very friendly with spirits and everything. I don't know, it seems like he would fit perfectly as a protagonist.
I can see that. He's almost like the exact opposite of Kaiba from like the original series. Like I personality wise, mentality wise, like all that seems to be the almost exact opposite of uh Kaiba. I think I've seen a few episodes with him. I never got through his entire story arc, but I know enough about him that it's like, okay, I can see this.
Yeah. Not to mention, I guess just in some ways his deck, as much as I like the Crystal Beast cards, I also kind of understand, wow, they're not perfect. They need some work. So if they ever made the archetype better or something like that, maybe it could be a case of, okay, let's give this character something to do.
I could see that. I could see like an episode, maybe he comes back in one of the series coming up at with and it's like, oh, he's a world champion duelist and using his famous crystal beasts. And that's how they introduce the new cards that they're introducing to kind of buff. Because what is it? It's Rainbow Dragon, right? Is that
That is
the
correct, yes.
is his ace? And I remember looking at it in Duel Links, and it's one of the more complicated things in that there. So
Once a little complicated to summon, but once you get it on the field, like I've won a lot of duels thanks to Rainbow Dragon.
okay, but yeah,
I
no,
don't know
Crystal
though. Like I
Beast.
said, he feels like such a Yu-Gi-Oh protagonist without being a protagonist. So I'm like, why not just go for it?
I could see that, and just he could even get his own series if there's I don't know because they always come up with a new gimmick. So whatever the next summoning gimmick is, then hit just give the Crystal Beasts some of them, and there you go.
I feel like they could take some gimmicks away rather than add more. But sure, but I understand what you mean.
Do you think they're ever gonna take away gimmicks?
No, I'm just saying adding more doesn't help.
Well, we could always go back down to three dueling spaces like Duel Links and what was it, Yu-Gi-Oh's? I don't know, Speed Duels or whatever the new version of this anime is called.
Yeah, I understand. I know the show you're talking about. I've heard very little about the quality of it though, so I'm who knows.
Yeah, the last one I've seen any episodes of was V Reigns. I saw the like first two episodes of that when they premiered.
How are you watching the first few episodes of Yu-Gi-Oh series without finishing practically any of them?
Mm. They're just I don't know. Something's off about them, and I just never feel like I have the time to give to a 50 episode anime. Yet I still watch One Piece, which is like 1,000 episodes.
That says a lot more about you than it says about the shows themselves. But yeah, overall, Jesse Anderson.
All right, I can co-sign that one. I think that could be an interesting show, though.
Okay.
All right. So my next one, this one would be a really weird one because it would be placed. I'd want it, I guess, taking place over several years. It takes place in Fairy Tale, and it follows Lizana Strauss. Um, Pretty much when they before the start of the series, she goes on a mission with her older sister and older brother, and appears to die on the mission. They In reality, she's transported through this magic portal that another world has opened to try to steal magic from this, and she gets trapped in this other world where everybody exists but is different. Like Urza in this world is works specifically for the king and is a pretty much hunts down illegal magic. Natsu is instead of being car sick, no matter for or motion sick from anything, he drives a car. Is his big gimmick. Gray wears shirts, so it'd be like discovering all of her friends exist, but they're not the same friends that she knew. Um, I think that would be a really interesting story, kind of following her adventures in this other world, discovering everything, and then like the final episodes being, oh, here come the people she knew as a kid have all of a sudden appeared in this world and are uh, going on a mission to free him, and it ends with her perspective of coming back to the real world and meeting her siblings again after all these years.
Is she the one with the blue hair?
No, she's one of the ones with the white hair. She has like the white short hair for of the girls.
I tried.
No, uh, yeah, her sister is Mara Jane, which is like a fan favorite character, despite not always being it like one of the main focused. But uh, I think her story could be really interesting just because it's so unique about. I mean, this world is literally the same, yet it's different. Is the whole focus, and going from a world where magic is used freely to a world where you can't use magic freely, but you can use magic items to fight. So that sort of thing.
Yeah, I could. It sounds like enough of a shakeup in the fairy tale world that would be something familiar yet still something different.
Yeah, I don't know if there was any in the manga that explained more of her story because all it from in the anime all it does is say I woke up and went to the guild and found Mary Jane and I forgot her brother's name, um, crying because they thought they lost her. She walks in, they get happy, but she kind of realizes that this isn't her world. But everybody fakes it to make each other happy until Natsu and Wendy show up and discover this other world, and that's kind of what leads to the changes. So
Yeah, sounds very similar to Persona 5 Royal in that aspect, but that's another point for another day.
that's maybe a good comparison. I don't know Royal's story, so how much
It
different it is than the original.
it gets weird, but overall, yeah, I can co-sign.
All right,
All right, so my next character,
go right ahead.
Kondo Isao from Gintama.
Okay.
Okay, so Kondo is kind of an oddball. He's the leader of the Shinsengumi, like the samurai police force, and he's very goofy and ridiculous. He almost kind of reminds me of Hercule from Dragon Ball, except I feel like he does a lot more in that regard. But to me, he always, like, the thing is, no matter how goofy he is, it's always shown that everybody in his army supports him and respects him and looks up to him. So I don't know, I guess with how goofy the show is, I've always kind of wanted a side series of how he started recruiting everybody. Sure, there were small steps in between where we saw that, but just an overall series of them kind of coming together and becoming more or less a family throughout it, just along with him stalking people because apparently that's what he does to the girl he likes, but just something along those lines because Kondo is like a beloved character, so it would be cool in that regard.
I know I can picture the uniform. I just can't. It's been so long since I've seen any Gintama. I know I've seen this character. I'll co-sign because he sounds like he'd be a fun character to follow in this kind of world that's just kind of bizarre. That's the best way of describing the Gintama world.
That the understatement of the century. He went to the urinal once and he got stuck.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just okay.
The other three saw it, he's like, please help. And then three of the people saw him and they just left the room. They're just like, nope, not today. We're not dealing with this today.
I'm not gonna ask.
Yeah. In all seriousness, though, like, especially considering the police force are protecting citizens, but they're not specifically doing anything about, being taken over by the aliens invading. So it could also just be a case of people being like, well, why should we trust you guys? You should be the ones standing up and defending and, like, actually, like, causing a rebellion of some kind. And just him and the rest of the Shinsengumi dealing with that. I don't know. Kondo's cool.
Yeah, I could see that because that could be its big. Because I mean, most Gintama arcs have a big serious moment where something you from the past or someone shows up that it's not a comedic part of this series, despite it being more of a comedy. I could see that being the whole thing of the people want this police force to rebel, and they just like, we're just here to protect everybody. That's all we want to do. We don't want to start a rebellion at this point.
Yeah, I guess at this point, the police literally protect and serve. That's a novel concept, but that's another point for another day.
All right, but yeah, as I said, I can co-sign on to that. I think that would be an interesting story.
Oh boy. So, honorable mentions time.
Yes. I'll start with this one. Gligar Man from Pokemon. He's the hero we deserve, not the one we need.
If you got run over by an 18-wheeler, it wouldn't be enough.
But then we could see Gliscor Man rises.
Uh, no.
Okay, fine. So my real first honorable mention, and we've probably talked about this before, but I put him on this list, and that's Jiraiya from Naruto. I just and he's one of those characters that fits that bill perfectly of wow, he could be his own main character in his own series. Whether we see him, I could see him more as like they'd have to tune down the pervertedness at this point, probably. But I'd love to see him on kind of his journey by himself, where he's becomes known as the Toad Sage. He's not really associated with as a Konoha ninja anymore. And kind of this could take place, I guess, after Tsunade and Orochimaru leave the village would be a good place because it's kind of the only part of his story we don't know too much about. We know he was writing on his journey at that point, but what adventures did he go on during this time that and see him maybe saving villages and stuff just randomly and stuff like that. I think he would make an interesting character for that.
Yeah, especially considering he really started off like completely inferior to Orochimaru and Tsunade. So to the point of where you could argue that maybe he was the strongest by the three of them by the time Shippuden happens and everything. So what led to that? Was it all on his own? Were there people who helped him along the way? Just that sort of thing. So yeah.
Yeah, and as I said, it'd just be an interesting story because we know basics of it. I mean, I guess we could do a whole series where he's the protagonist and it's him, Hiruzen is their Jonin, um, Orochimaru and Tsunade going on their three-man team adventures and stuff. But I don't know if that would be worth it because we kind of gotten flashes of that through like memories of theirs and stuff. So
Well, yeah, as much as I'd like that, I also don't think it's ever going to happen because for some reason people care about how Sasuke and Sakura got together. I'm sorry, I don't care. I don't care about the Sasuke specials. I have no interest in them. I am sorry.
yeah, there are a ton of characters that deserve uh, that. I mean, as I said, Jiraiya is one of them that deserves that. We've talked about Kakashi, and if he got an Anbu before, I know we've talked about that.
Yeah. Yeah, heck, I think there are a lot of villains that could deserve that, like a little more Akatsuki members, the Sound Ninja, just etc. etc. I don't care about Sasuke anymore, really.
Yeah, I mean, we've got that. We got a background story or a Sasuke story when the first light novels were developed. So this would be a chance for other stories to, or other characters to get stories.
Heck, other villages. Yeah, you get what I mean.
Well, I talked about it at one point where like the hidden stone until Boruto didn't get anything, like until they were introduced. Like, okay, here's the Tsuchikage for the Five Kage Summit. That's the first time we really have an interaction between the hidden stone and the hidden leaf at all. At least the hidden mist, the hidden sand, the hidden cloud had all been revealed before now.
Heck, and the Hidden Stone village could have to do with Datara and that sort of thing. And see, because like they never really explained what their dynamics with Datara was. They like it was hinted at, and then Datara died.
Yeah.
Again.
But this gave me an idea. So for another video, it would be what characters in Naruto get deserve a light novel story that gets developed into an anime.
I could do that. I could absolutely do that.
So stay tuned for that eventually.
Eventually. I thought about doing that video just as a quick little thing on my own, but since you suggested it, I'm like, yeah, let's both do it together. That works.
Yeah, I'm sure there's enough characters for us to go through and kind of talk about what we would want in that story. So
Yeah, but I can co-sign to Jiraiya, but you're on thin ice right now.
what? You don't like Gligar Man? And
No,
his motorcycle, the Gligar copter or something, I forgot what it's called.
no, no. I do not. I do not enjoy it. Let me put to you this one. Let me put to you in a way you might that really might demonstrate how I feel about Gligar Man. We've talked about Drew before, correct?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not the biggest fan of Drew, am I?
No.
If Drew and Gligar Man were both dangling from a ledge and I had the strength to save them both, I would drop Gligar Man just to be sure I had good enough grip on Drew and I'd pull him up.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, so up yours. But I can co-sign to Jiraiya.
All right. So your first honorable mention?
All right, so I wanted to keep up with you. So if you have a joke answer, I kind of have a joke answer too.
Okay.
He's one of the main characters of the show, but it's a show you know, so I don't feel that bad about it.
Okay.
Ricky Nendo from Psyche K.
Okay.
Okay, I'm gonna get the joking. I'm gonna get the more serious answer out of the way first, because in all honesty, I don't know if it's from the manga or the light novels or anything like that, but it was kind of revealed at some point since Nendo's dad died before he ever knew him that he kind of grew up as people saw him as a jerk, bully, delinquent. And then when he saw at times how hard it was making life for his mom, he decided maybe I should drop out and like help my mom around the house or get a job to support us or something like that. At the same time though, there's this weird story where Nendo gets blamed for something at school, but Psyche stands up for him, and that's why Nendo always says Psyche's my buddy or Psyche's my best friend. So I don't know, just seeing that to me and him turning into the lovable person we all know and love. I don't know. I don't know if it's canon or not, but I thought it was an interesting thing that they brought up.
I could kind of see it. I don't know if they'd have to reveal. I mean, I know he's depicted as a very caring character, but they'd have to probably push it to so that he would actually be like showing his caring side a lot more, I think.
Yeah. Like I said, that was more of the serious answer for him. As for the joking answer, we talked about seeing it through the character's eyes.
Mm-hmm.
I want to see what Nendo thinks of Psyche. I want to see Psyche acting like how Nendo sees him. Like, hey, Nendo, what's going on, best buddy? And that's how he acts. And Psyche could be in the background, being like, I'm not like this with him at all. What? You guys are watching the wrong show. You know that, right?
Uh, I could almost see it being like it's revealed that one, Nendo's a genius. He's just acts that way, and that he knows Psyche Psyche's got psychic powers and that he's just blocking them. That's why he can't read his mind.
Oh god, that would be terrifying. Like, but just the idea of Psyche and Nendo being all buddy buddy with each other, but through the whole time, Psyche's like, "I'm not actually like this. Please believe me, guys." And we're like, "No, it's more fun this way."
Okay, I could see it. I don't know how they would really do it for even a 12 episode anime would be pushing it for this because
It could be like honestly, it could be like 5 minutes, and that's it.
just like a single part of one episode.
Exactly. Like I said, it was more of a joke answer. So I still have my other three honorable mentions. I just wanted a joke answer because I thought it'd be funny. Because in all honesty, as much as I pick on him, Nendo might actually be my favorite character.
Well, since you have another three, do you want to give one of your other honorable mentions? Because I did one of mine and my joke one. So
Yeah, sure. Jim Crocodile Cook from Yu-Gi-Oh! GX.
okay,
I don't know if you know Jim, but I fell in love with Jim the second I saw him because he's this Australian duelist who's a transfer student at Duel Academy, season 3, of course. And I don't know, he's very smart, and he knows a lot about archaeology and dueling and that sort of thing. And ultimately, like a lot of other Yu-Gi-Oh characters, he's just a very nice, simple guy who, if anything, he inspires more change in other characters rather than him going through development himself. And that seems to be the template for a lot of main characters nowadays. They themselves don't develop that much, but they cause the people around them to develop and get better.
I can see that. I know I've seen the first episodes of season three, just because I need to see it for something we were working on and just wanted to know enough about him. So I know I've seen like when he's introduced to the I think he's introduced in that first episode where like they're here are the transfer students and it's him, Jesse Anderson, and oh god, what's the other guy's name? He uses
There's
the fire
Ax-
monster.
there's
Yeah,
Axel who uses the fire monsters, and Adrian who uses the cloud monsters.
I can't even I didn't even think of Adrian. Like I can't even picture him off the top of my head.
Adrian's, I've talked about him before, but yeah. Overall, like he just feels like such, especially with how friendly and helpful he is. Is the only time he really seems to be mad and frustrated is one when he's trying to protect his friends, and two when Jade tells him this is no time to be speaking Australian, Jim. He was noticeably upset with that.
No, I mean there are definitely different words, so
I mean, yeah, and also in Duel Links, because in the series he fails to save the day from the Supreme King, and in Duel Links they follow up with that with him being like he got scared of dueling because he couldn't protect the people around him. That's a very main character story to have, and
mhm.
of course he overcomes it thanks to his friends. He just seems like such a main character, and he's honestly one of the few Yu-Gi-Oh characters who I feel like nobody hates. I feel like everybody likes Jim.
I can see that. I think I remember because I think that was one of the last little gate events I did in Duel Links was hit his unlock, and then I would log in maybe once or twice a year after that for a year or two. And I've recently started playing again relatively
I really want to
regularly.
get back into it, but Pokemon Masters really has my attention right now. But overall, Jim Cook, everybody likes him, and he walks around with a giant crocodile on his back. So what's not to love?
Yeah, he seems like a unique enough character to get the chance to get his own story. All right. So my next honorable mention.
Please go ahead.
So let's see. Uh, so this one, I definitely want more of an origin story for, and that's Valdora from that time I got reincarnated as a slime.
Okay.
Um, he's literally the first. Our main character meets Valdora in the cave that he's kind of reborn into as the slime, and Valdora's pretty much supposed to be this evil dragon that was going around destroying villages and stuff, and uh, got himself mixed up with a some sort of magician saint something who imprisoned him in this cave where he cannot leave this cave. So I'd love like his story of, well, why was he attacking these villages and his whole battle back and forth, because supposedly there were battles back and forth with this mage until they trapped him in the cave. So back and forth with that until, and then leading, and it ends with him getting trapped in the cage. So it would be like an intro to the world, or I guess a prequel to the world that we know in that time I got reincarnated as a slime. I think it would be a really interesting story.
And just to clarify, this is not the main hero.
No, this is the dragon that we I guess his full name would be Vildora Tempest, because they give each other the last name Tempest.
That is a really cool name.
Yeah. So and eventually he does get free in season 2, but I love like the whole story of him getting trapped, being this massive, really powerful dragon trying to defend or trying to break free of this seal and just not being able to over and over again, and seeing the effects it have on you as just getting trapped, but also having been pretty much ruling part of the world as a dragon.
Yeah. But I can definitely co-sign onto that. It sounds like it'd be an interesting side series, I guess.
Yeah, and I know a lot of the characters. I think there's a movie that just came out that follows one of the characters, or kind of one of the side characters in his story. So I don't know what it is because I didn't go see it or yet, so I don't know.
Huh. A series that actually is starting to give love to the side characters? Maybe I have to give that show a chance.
I mean, the characters, relative for the most part, are pretty good on the side, so I like them.
Yeah. But yeah, I can co-sign. I can vibe with that.
All right, your next honorable mention.
Okay. Kurumi from Lycoris Recoil.
Okay.
Okay, so Kurumi was basically a runaway girl who was really, really smart and she was good with hacking and everything. And she kind of works for the cafe alongside the main characters. But while they're running around shooting people and doing their jobs, she's basically the information, the hacker, all this other sorts of stuff. So far, the series is very young, so she's an honorable mention because maybe we'll get this. But we never really learn like what happened with her, why she ran away, why she's siding with these guys. We don't really learn her motivation besides just simply, oh, I got a home and a good meal. Sure, let's do it.
Hmm. Uh, so what are the main characters going around shooting? I didn't recognize the name of the show.
Well, basically, they're just like if there are other criminals running around, like they're basically criminals running around causing chaos and stealing just basic criminal stuff going on in Japan. And the main characters, Chisato and Takina, they're the ones running around. They're shooting people. Well, Takina's shooting to kill. Chisato will shoot, but then she'll like tape up and heal the people that she's dealing with.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, like I don't know. Kurumi was just so fascinating because I don't know. I've always wanted an anime to see that involve where the main character is like a hacker, and we get like more stuff behind that. I've always just found it like super interesting.
So it'd be kind of like if there was like a whole arc in oh god, what's it called? Persona 5, where Futaba is the main focus, like 100%. It's on her hacking something.
Yeah, something along those lines.
Okay, I can kind of see that. That would be kind of interesting. Might get people interested in coding and all that if in Japan. I know, I mean it's a big thing there, but I can't think of an anime where coding is like a main focus of the character.
Yeah, but if there is, let us know. Maybe we'll check it out sometime. But overall, like I said, I'm not like desperate for it because the series is so young. So maybe we'll get it. But I just thought it'd be interesting.
Hmm. Yeah, I'll co-sign on to that. All right. So my last honorable mention.
Go for it.
Um, so the one I've saved for my final honorable mention is George Carmine from, oh god, what's the name? How a Genius Prince Rebuilt the Kingdom or something along those lines. I think is it didn't save right. I'm looking at it now. So but pretty much throughout the series he's kind of in this first little main story arc of the series where he's uh the main character has been made the king of this country because he's pretty much used his knowledge to prove that he can rebuild this kingdom using true economic ideas that are different from the kind of feudal system that they were using.
How a realist hero rebuilt the kingdom?
Yep, that's it. Yeah, for some reason, it's when I typed it in, it changed it completely. So I don't even have. I have how the how a realist G. Yeah, so my whole thing just got messed up. So I don't know. That's why I didn't know the name of the series. Um, so George Carmine is the general for this country under the previous king who just stepped down to give the main character the country. And you kind of expect at the start of it when you learn that he's building up his army, because pretty much there was the king, a Carmine who is the general of the army. They actually have an air force, which are kind of people with that are dragonborn with, so they have wings. That's their air force, and then they have kind of the merfolk or sirens that are the navy, and they each have kind of power to. That way, everybody's got some sort of showing in the government or the monarchy. Well, Carmen kind of views it as he knows that there's good coming for the country, but he knows that there's nobility that's corrupt that is going to try to undermine all these new plans that the protagonist is installing, and they've actually got ideas that we're going to assassinate the main character. So he's trying to use. So he kind of hijacks the nobleman's plan and says, "Well, I'll protect you." So he gathers them all together, but like commits his forces in what appear to be good ways but aren't good ways, allowing the protagonist to outsmart him and get around him. And in the end, he sacrifices his life in prison as the traitor so that the protagonist can pretty much gain complete control over everything and make the world a better place for his people, which are in this case, he's the leader of the animal people, the people who have animal features. So I'd love a story that's kind of either his backstory or him realizing and getting happy that the kingdom's going to improve, but also knowing that he has to make something happen to make sure that this future that he sees will happen.
Yeah. I'm gonna be honest. I list like everything you told me in the middle. Oh, I was interested in like just how he feels like there is still good. Like, but when you start talking in the beginning about like just the economic system, whatever you're talking about, I was like, this show does not sound at all for me. This sounds horrible. This sounds boring. This sounds horribly boring.
It's really not. It's a very interesting show, but I don't mean that they focus on the economics, but that he takes them from pretty much a feudal system to kind of whatever the next step would be. I guess it's kind of more mercantile, more free economic, but at the time, that's what especially is needed after a feudal system. A feudal system just you have to reach a certain point. So it's that sort of development, but I can understand that part. I spoke of that because the feudal system, the people who are feudal lords, the nobility, don't want to lose the power that they
Yeah.
have. So
Yeah, but I can understand it. Maybe I'll give it a chance someday.
you'd have to really want to watch it because it's an isekai that's not a power fantasy.
Damn it.
So
God damn it. Yeah, but I can co-sign.
all right. So your final honorable mention?
All right, these were two. This is two characters, but I had to combine them because they just. You'll see what I mean because you know that because you'll know you'll know what I mean.
Okay.
From Pokemon, Archie and Maxie from Team Aqua and Magma.
Okay.
These guys, okay. As much as I love Gen 3 more than just about anybody else I know, these were some of the worst villains in the Pokemon anime. Hey, and even some to some extent in the games. They basically want to flood the earth or dry up the earth so it's just land or just water. But we never really learn why, what made them like this, how they became like this. We never learned that throughout the whole series, and it really hurts the arc itself.
Yeah, I can 100% agree to that. I could see like if Archie's trying to rebuild Earth, he could say something like, "I'm bringing Earth back to its primordial ocean only form, and that's why he wants to flood the Earth, and that he's going to keep a certain number of humans alive." But he never says any of that.
Yeah, and the crazy thing is like especially because we could argue whether the remakes of Ruby and Sapphire, whether they were good, whether they weren't. We'll talk about it in another video. But the thing for me is the remakes at least gave them motivation. Like we actually learned that Archie may have lost a Pokemon hunt, and that's kind of what caused his descent and why he's doing basically more villainous things. In the remakes, they are far more developed, especially to the point where they're like, hey, to my team, to my crew, if you can complete the mission, great, but I'm not losing any of you. There's a sense of loyalty there, and we don't really get that. They're just one-dimensional villains from the show.
Well, yeah, I mean, what they're in, what, like a 3 episode arc that, and we've seen Team Aqua and Team Magma before this, but not never introduced to Archie and Maxie until the 3 episode arc, which has Kyogre and Groudon.
Yeah, basically that. That whole arc needs work, and if when we eventually have to redo the Brendan video, we're gonna have to talk about that because I can't let that sit because that are is it the worst Pokemon villain arc they've ever done? No, because Journeys exists, but it. I will fully admit it's bad.
Yeah, it is. It's just, I don't know. All the other villains, I mean, at least Team Rocket, it's like, okay, they're a criminal organization. They're like the mafia. So that's their story. And then what? Team Galactic and Team Plasma both have much more realistic villainous goals. So at least, or bigger versions of it that feel more thought out than these.
Exactly.
So yeah, the I can understand wanting these to be redone. I could and definitely feel they need it.
Yeah, especially since with how loyal they are to their team, they could easily also get their own redemption arc in some regards. But I've mentioned that before.
Yeah, they're one of the ones that I think could be done if there's like a specific, if they develop like a specific reason for each one wanting to do what they're doing. I could see that. Like if it's more of like a climate thing, then maybe I could see it, or it could be something else. I just don't know what they would need to do to make it
I don't
feel
know.
more like a better story.
Like I said, the remakes of the game seemingly did a better job, but it's you understand why I feel this way because it was not fun for me. It was pretty disappointing.
I can understand that. So especially because the like isn't the MacGuffin that Pikachu absorbs one of the orbs?
That was so stupid. That was
So,
so dumb.
so instead of an awakened Kyogre or Groudon, we got Primal Pikachu.
At least he didn't use that primal Pikachu versus Leon.
Just imagine if that was like something that's like, okay, well, each Pokemon I have now has a different ability. Pikachu, absorb the blue orb, and just chucks it at Pikachu.
Oh God, Pokemon, I love you, but you're so stupid. That's a dumb enough thing for me to be like, I can believe them doing it.
We've learned to control the blue orb in Pikachu.
How? No, no, don't even question. Don't even question it. Have fun losing to a brand new Snivy Pikachu because have fun with that.
Yeah, it reverts you to level 1.
But yeah, Archie and Maxie. Let's move on before I get upset.
All right. So this one I don't think you'll be able to talk too much about. So my final one is Sakonji Urokodaki from Demon Slayer. He's the pretty much he's the old master for our protagonist and all of that. You know that, yes, go ahead.
Is he the one with the mask with the red face?
Yes. So, glad you actually knew that. So at least you know who
Yep.
I'm talking about.
Yep.
I, we know that he was a Hashira from some backstory. He used the water Hashira before. So kind of this would give them a chance to go back and explore a bit of the past of the Demon Slayer Corps. Give him a chance as the uh, Hashira to kind of go over with this story. You could even give him trapping the giant demon in the testing grounds for them and learning, like when he first starts kind of training his students, that oh, this demon's hunting down my own students and killing them because he knows which ones are my students, and feeling the suffering. Because I mean, that's the whole thing when he doesn't want Tanjiro to go, or he doesn't know if Tanjiro is actually ever going to come back, is because this demon's killed, I don't know, it's like 20 plus students of his.
Good lord.
And so just, yeah, but it would give them a chance to explore even before what's going on. Because I know there's going to be an arc that takes place like at the founding of the Demon Slayer Corps and the demons becoming stronger and stuff. This would kind of be a good middle ground of, because he's an old man in the Demon Slayer series itself. So this would be a good one. It's like, okay, what's going on during, I don't know, maybe like, as I said, the Middle Ages of the Demon Slayer Corps.
Yeah, I guess I can coast. I knew who he was just vaguely. That's that. So I feel proud just for that. But overall, it sounds like it could be interesting.
And another interesting part is like for him would be because he allows the God, what's her name? I don't know. I can't remember her name, but it's the girl who's a demon but doesn't eat people like the others to live with him. Why would he do that if he's a Hashira? Because we've seen how antagonistic the other Hashira have been about it. The fact that he allows her to live with him while Tanjiro goes on specific missions or is out training and all this other stuff. So it'd kind of be interesting to see why he's like that, so much different than the others.
Yeah, I can co-sign onto that in some way.
All right. Your final one?
All right, I at least try to save the last one for something we can both talk about, but I'm kind of iffy on it to be completely honest.
Okay.
And that's Leo Vermilion from Black Clover.
Okay.
I don't know. Leo to me kind of has the perfect setup as a main character. He's his older brother Fuegoleon basically got into a coma and lost his arm, so he's kind of the one who's been put pressure upon him. Now, of course, first he gets his he gets his I guess cousin in Marileona and her terrifying nature. So I don't know, a series about him basically could have been cool. Like him realizing my brother's gone and I have no idea if he's ever gonna come back. Well, I also have to deal with the stricter nature under my cousin. Not to mention, just he kind of has a similar philosophy of Asta, basically saying, I don't care whether you're poor or you're a commoner or whether you're wealthy. I just look for the strongest opponents. And also just his rivalry with Asta and how he's very friendly about it. So it would just be very refreshing because, like we've said, the idea of a friendly rival who's still competitive is it's a refreshing take compared to rivalries where people are super toxic to each other.
I can see that. He definitely has the main, he's got a main character kind of personality, where he's not overly aggressive and not, but he also isn't that one side, or yeah, what, nearsighted, one sided, I don't know how to put it,
Yeah,
where he's
I
only focused on that.
yeah, I
He
understand
okay.
what you mean.
So
Especially, sorry,
so
go ahead, go ahead.
yeah, I was thinking of like Luck. It's like Luck also likes to fight and fight at the strongest opponent. He doesn't care who you are, but that's all he thinks about. So that's kind of the difference between them. Like I couldn't see Luck being the uh a main character, but I could see him being a character.
Yeah, especially with some of his because he's has funny moments too, which kind of which kind of makes him a little more lighthearted, especially when Captain Yami's like, "Hey, let's go see what the girls are doing in the hot springs." And Leo thinks to himself, "What would older brother say?" And he's like, and it shows a fantasy of Fuegoleon being like, "Leo, you must understand, it's appropriate to peep on girls in the hot springs." And Leo's like, "Oh yeah, no, he would never say that."
But then I can also see because uh, when Fugolio wakes up, I could see um, him almost having to be like the calming influence between his brother and his cousin.
Basically, yeah.
It's like, oh God, I'm not nearly as strong as either of you, but just no, stop. You got to work together.
Yeah, and that it especially helps in his favor because he's even after everything, he's still not stronger than them, and that means he has basically something to keep striving for. And to me, that's what a main character should be.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, and you know that he want like from what I remember, his whole goal is eventually to become strong enough to become the captain of the oh God, what's the name of that?
Crimson Lions.
Crimson Lines. I kept thinking red for some reason. Like, what is red? It's like that can't be red.
Well, yeah, Red Lions doesn't sound nearly as cool.
Yeah, so Crimson. Okay.
Yeah, but overall, Leo, he has main character energy, so I'm like, why not?
Yeah, I could definitely see a side story where he goes, even if it's like Asta's like, okay, I'm going on this mission so that I can catch up. Like maybe he finds out Asta's a rank ahead of him or something, and he's going on a specific mission hoping to rank up.
Yeah, that would actually be perfect.
And he comes back and he finds out Asta's been promoted again while he was away, and he gets promoted, but he's still one behind. It's that becomes his mentality of always wanting to be up there but can't quite get there.
Yeah, I do understand that. Heck, you could get a fight between him and Asta, even if it's just a training one, and he could be like a lot closer than people expected. That sort of thing.
Yeah, the issue is that Asta just constantly gets so much stronger so fast with his anti-magic, so
True, but it's also been shown that Asta still isn't the strongest. Like, there are people with magic that he should be able to nullify that he's still not as strong as. So they could work. I don't know how, but they could find a workaround for it.
I could see it though. Yeah, this is definitely one I'll 100% co-sign though for.
Alright, so is that it? Are we good to go?
Yeah, I still don't know why you don't like Gligar Man, but we can talk about that another time.
Yeah, now I'm wondering who would I save? Richard, Gligerman, or Drew? And the worst part is I'm having a hard time deciding. That's not a good sign for you.
Yeah, but I think that just about wraps this episode up.
Alrighty, so ladies, gentlemen, and others, what side characters do you think could have been the main characters of their own anime or the current anime? Whether you didn't like the main characters themselves, whether you just wanted more for certain side characters, just anything at all.
Yeah, and I mean, do you feel that any of these characters that we've already talked about should have a specific story told? Like, I mean, we get into Jiraiya a lot because we both could talk a lot about that one.
Exactly. And remember, you don't have to want more Sasuke. It's okay. No, please. No.
We pretty much know his entire story at this point. Why do we need no more of him?
You're asking the wrong person. You're asking me like I have the answer. But yeah. Overall, just let us know. Like, comment, subscribe. That's right. We're over 400 subscribers now. That feels weird. Don't get me wrong. I'm grateful and I love all of you, but I'm still not used to it. But I want more.
Yeah, we do appreciate everyone who does subscribe for us.
Well, I want 1,000 by the end of the year.
Oh, I thought we were on the long road to 425 by the end of the year.
Nope, 1,000 by the end of the year.
Oh God! Wow. Okay. Well, you heard him. He's got a lot more goals with this than I do.
1,000 by the end of the year.
It's doable. We'll keep trying to get at least one of these out a week if we can.
Hopefully so, but I have vacation coming up, but we'll talk about that. But anyways, let us know what side characters you'd want to get their own thing. And like, comment, subscribe, and share, and we will see you next time. This has been Alex.
And Richard.
And you have been listening to Anime Egotists. Good night. Peace easy.